Hello folks, I am back and I'm here to talk about Appendix carry. Is the double action, single action firearm the best firearm to use as an appendix carry firearm? But appendix carry has gotten very popular, and depending on your body frame and so forth, people would prefer appendix carry. It's very popular. But one of the things I've come across is looking in the forums, some people are leery about appendix carry and some people are leery about the certain choice of firearm that they want to use for appendix carry. Let's start with this one. This is my HK VP9SK. As you see, it is empty in the bottom here. There's no magazine in it, and there's nothing in the chamber here. This is for the YouTube gods. And also, I carry this often, so therefore, my magazines are loaded. I don't bring any live firearm on the camera at any time. So, just to get to talk to you about this, a lot of people like the striker fire firearms. They're very popular. Everybody loves them. And it's probably what they call the new generation, a new wave. But the thing about it is, some people get nervous about using a striker firearm in appendix mode. Just to give you an example, this is my Sig Sauer P320 AXG Pro that I've made. And the thing about this is, a lot of firearms will have some bad history. And we all know what happened with the P320, the accidental discharges and so forth. And I'm going to show clear on this one because there is a magazine in this one. And it's clear. Now, a lot of problems you've heard about the generations of the first generation of the P320s. There were some accidental discharges. And one of the things that can bring you pause is if you put this, a P320 in the appendix mode, and God forbid you have an accidental discharge in that region, especially if you're a male. And the thing about it is that people sometimes will lose faith in particular firearms because they're worried about those accidental discharges. And I'm not picking on Sig when I talk about this, but this can make a person have pause to carry the P320 like I have. I have a little bit of pause. I won't carry this firearm appendix style. I will carry it on the hip when I'm at work, but I still am a little leery about, with this particular firearm, I will not carry appendix. And this is what other people are going to have some issues with. They're going to worry about whether or not a firearm is safe enough, regardless whether it's the P320 or any other firearm, to carry appendix. And that is one of the issues when it comes to with striker fires. Now, another alternative, the 1911. This is a Dan Wesson TCP. This one is clear. I carry this sometimes, but a lot of people get a little nervous about carrying a firearm that's cocked and locked. A lot of people are worried about when you pull this appendix-wise. Are they going to snag the hammer? Are they going to be able to manipulate the safety? And it can cause a lot of confusion for people who want to carry appendix, but they are leery about carrying this particular firearm. And a lot of times it has to do with a familiarity with the firearm, such as like I said, cocked and locked. A lot of times they are worried about if they didn't activate the beaver tail safety. And that's one of the other things. So there are a lot of different choices in carrying appendix, but sometimes the mechanical portion of it will hinder you from carrying appendix-wise. So this now leads me down to the double action, single action firearm. This is my Sig P225A1, and it seems like when I go through the gun forums or whatnot, people tend to lean towards the double action, single action firearm. And a lot of it has to do with they believe that the firearm is a lot more forgiving. Like with the striker fire, a lot of these striker fire firearms, they are anywhere from, depending on what type of trigger system is in it, it can be anywhere between roughly 4 pounds, 5 pound trigger pull. But with the double action, single action firearm, you're going to go anywhere from, depending on the make and model, whether it's Sig Sauer, whether it's Beretta, or any other brand, you're going to have a trigger pull somewhere anywhere between 8 and roughly 12 pounds, depending on the manufacturer. And one of the things about that, what I mean by it's more forgiving, is you have a long pull. And I just forgot to tell people, this is a clear firearm. And like I said, I do carry this one a lot. That's why there's no magazine in there. So it's a lot more forgiving. So you have that long pull. That long pull is a little bit more forgiving. Let's say if you are holstering this firearm. When you're holstering this firearm, this trigger pull is basically is strong enough that it should resist certain things, like whether you get caught onto a shirt or anything like that. What's less forgiving is a striker fire firearm, as you can put this in, and if you're not careful, you can snag your shirt and depress the trigger. It all depends. And like I said, with the double action, single action, you'll have that long pull. It's, like I said, it's a little more forgiving. One of the other things is, after you get the firearm cleared from clothing or whatnot, and you're pointing down range, and you have that long pull, the firearm usually goes into a single action mode. So you're able to do your follow-up shots at a shorter mode, and usually, which is roughly about going to three-pound pull, which would seem like the pull that's similar to like a striker fire. Once you're over, the threat is over, you have your option. Well, it shouldn't be an option, but you have the point where you can just decock the firearm safely, and you see the hammer goes forward, and you can holster, make sure your finger's off the trigger, and you can holster usually safely. The same with certain firearms like Beretta. They have a decocker almost on their 92 line. There's also other manufacturers, HK and so forth. So when you're thinking of, if you're a little bit leery about what firearm to get for appendix carry, I would highly recommend a double action, single action firearm. But with all that being said, I'm not going to say that it is the #1 best firearm for appendix carry in the safe, being safe. I'm going to say that safety is up to you, and this is your biggest safety. When you holster, you want to make sure that there's nothing that's going to obstruct the trigger. And one of the biggest things that people need to do is you need to get a really good holster, not an El Cheapo holster, because a lot of times these holsters, like the old-fashioned Uncle Mike's that were like foamy, they can get caught into the trigger area and discharge around. You want a good, rigid, quality holster. Second thing is you want a good, rigid belt, similar to the Core Essentials belt. And by the way, you can go to their website, get 10% off with my code Keenan10. And these belts are very good, very sturdy, and will secure these your firearm with the holster. But I'm going to, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is this whole thing about double action single action being the quote-unquote possibly the safest alternative. I've been seeing this a lot. People ask me this in the store, whether or not it's the safest. It's all according to your training. It's how I'm comfortable with any of these firearms. Striker fire, 1911, single actions, you name it. I'm very comfortable with it. But if you're on the fence, I would recommend a double action, single action. And the one good part about a double action, single action is it's going to teach you trigger control and the press on the first double action pull. Don't just get a double action, single action firearm and just shoot it with in single action all the time. Try it with double action. Take some shots, and decock. You know, I practice this all the time. I practice with double action. I'll shoot around, decock it, back in a double action, and then just keep going. This is a safer alternative in some cases. I want to find out what you think about the double action, single action. How do you feel it's safe compared to a striker fire and or a 1911 or single action firearm? So with that said, happy shooting, stay safe, #2A.